When does a person become a person?
Believe it or not, I do believe that a person isn't a person until they experience their first.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Atheist Vanguard. I am Derek Hawke.
I'm Phoenix.
Ben Estaville.
All right, let's finish that cliffhanger and go to our interview for today.
Yes. Thank you for watching the Atheist Vanguard. My name is Ben, and I have with me today Prim.
Yes, Primitive Keeping. Hi, how are you?
Now, Prim, I want to know a little more about your view about science and religion and how they're compatible. What do you think about evolution?
Well, as far as evolution, I believe that there are a lot of things about religion and science and spirituality in itself that we have to simplicate. There are too many questions.
What's the top question we need to simplicate?
The top question that we need to simplicate in itself is, the answer in itself is hard to find. We'll never know until we get there. But there are too many questions about life because there are too many questions about Jesus because there are too many questions about life.
Let's just get to one. What's the top one? What's the most vexing question you think you could speak on?
What is the most vexing question that I think I can speak on?
What moves you right now?
What moves me right now? What's moving me right now is breath of life. Just new beginnings,
now,
starting over.
Let me get to that breath of life. Do you
Yes.
believe that a person is not a person until they've had a breath of life?
I do not believe that.
When does a person become a person?
Believe it or not, I do believe that a person isn't a person until they experience their first, like
rave? The first rave.
Until they experience their first, round of chaos, their first round of trauma.
Like birth?
Trauma, the reason, like birth. We live life. Everyone is born, but your individual self, that instinct that kicks in that says, this is my survival self, we don't experience that until we first come across our first like contact of trauma or chaos.
The first trial.
The trial.
Okay.
So it's like, it's trial and tribulation that builds us. So I kind of like, that's just me speaking out of my own experiences of life, though. I'm not saying people, those who are in this world who kind of have it, easy. You ain't necessarily just like, I'm not saying you don't know what the struggle is, but you ain't necessarily just been struggled. You don't have that much of a life.
It's a different perspective when you've overcome something, when you've taken the hero's journey classically.
Right.
You've overcome some obstacles. You have some hard times, and you
right. I mean, it's
level
like
up.
I'm not saying that they're dull, but I would say as far as,
do you think they've been
overcoming the struggle, I kind of feel like it's very much so it's a process that everyone has to go through. I walk in my shoes, you walk in your shoes. I am one-minded. I don't necessarily faith. I'm seeking salvation and prosperity and purity for myself. I can only carry the load that I carry. I can walk with you. You can lean on my shoulder. I will lean on your shoulder. But at the end of the day, when I'm stood in front of the judgment throne, I won't be able to speak for anyone else. I'll only be able to speak for myself. So regardless of all the things that I believe in, reflections. If it was possible for me to be able to step over into the spiritual world, because the spiritual world is nothing but a mirror reflection of the physical, and yet to understand that I'm actually living on a reflection, if I believe that I come from heaven.
Quick question.
So
now, those people who you mentioned who might not have had the struggle, do you think that it's part of God's plan that you have some people who
I
have
don't
a
believe in
struggle?
Calvinism.
No?
I don't believe in Calvinism. I do not believe in Calvinism. I actually had an experience about that myself. My belief is as I said, I'm a firm believer in God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. When I tell everything around me to be quiet, everything around me be quiet. If I tell it to move, it moves. You know, the wind blows as it likes. We know not where it come from. So as far as, you know, the belief of Calvinism, I don't believe that some people were already predestined to go to heaven and that some people are already predestined to go to hell. That is false. If the devil can't hold my soul for an eternity because he himself, his past was castration, his future a burning hell.
So
if that is the devil, then Calvinism.
Quick question on
what
the
I
devil.
Believe.
Quick question on the devil. Where is the devil right now?
Where is the devil right now in the winds of the air? If I believe exactly what the Bible says, in the winds of the air, roaming back and forth.
Do you remember what book that was?
It is.
Because we need to do the research.
Leviticus, and it's also not. It's the book of Leviticus.
Mm-hmm.
It's also not Leviticus. It's the book of. It's the book of. Ecclesiastes, the book of Ecclesiastes, Job. Watch out for the lion whom is roaming back and forth, like roaring, seeking whom he may devour, and as well as 1 John, not John, but 1 John, chapter 3, I believe.
Okay.
Definitely so. Yes, I love the Bible. I love the Word. I love God, Holy Spirit. Be mounted high, the utmost. It's a, grasping, go and make 3 figures.
How has that belief changed your life? Real quick.
How has it?
Yes. Have you prospered?
Have I prospered?
In the way that you want to prosper?
Have I prospered in the way that I want to prosper? I do see proof. I do see proof of me going where I sought to be, but I am unfinished.
Okay.
I have so much more to do.
Great.
Okay.
Well, thank you for the interview.
Thank you.
All right.
So much more to do.
So much more to do.
Oh, yeah. First of all, I just want to apologize.
Revelation. Oh.
I just want to apologize that it was a little spritzy out there. That your TV isn't broken. There was little water spots, and I had a great time interviewing him.
So what did you take most out of this interview with him? Because again, we've talked to him before.
Yeah. Religion is a wonderful, comforting blanket that you can wrap yourself into, and it's going to make you feel good. If you go about it the right way, there's some really horrible things you can also get from it, that it's going to keep you up at night.
Do you think that he's received positive things from having religion in his life? Do you think he's a more positive person because of it? Does he get this joy from religion? Or is he just a joyful person in nature?
I think he might just be an awesome, joyful person. He's just walking through life, living his truth, doing his thing. He's not bothering anyone. Mm-hmm. He is he is radiating. He's radiating joy, and I've heard that some Christians say, like, I can't believe you're an atheist because you're not sour.
You're smiling.
Yeah, you're smiling.
Yeah, I get the impression from him, he's the biggest thing for him is that he's unraveling the mysteries of.
He's diving deep.
And he's unraveling the mysteries of Prim.
He is learning. he's definitely steeped in the Word, and you can read all this stuff, and it doesn't make sense because some of it is nonsensical, and maybe later you're like, oh, that's what it means.
Yeah.
But you could be wrong about your interpretation.
We are pattern-seeking creatures, and we see meaning where there may not be any meaning. And sometimes, some people have actually profited off of these non-meaningless. So, I'll give you an example. I am a huge, huge fan of Kurt Cobain and Nirvana. Not Courtney. And
sorry, Courtney.
And
going back there again.
I loved the Nirvana lyrics. Now, you read those, first of all, if you could understand what he was saying, which is part of the appeal. But when you read these, I remember on Nevermind, they had actually the lyrics printed out. Excuse me. And you read these lyrics and the brilliance behind the way he speaks. And what you see also in the Bible is that these are vague statements that mean absolutely nothing and everything to somebody.
Do you know about Barnum statements? That's what we're talking
about. And Noble?
No. They can just be interpreted any way you want.
Exactly. That's the beauty of it. That's why when you have the drunk girl, at the party going, this song was written about me.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
That's how when we say that, these poems, these songs, these lyrics, they speak to you because they're written in that fashion that you can put your own spin on it based upon your state of mind, your status in life, all sorts of things.
As a musician, do you want to know the secret to writing lyrics like that?
CDG.
What?
CDG. That's the perfect song.
Lyrics.
Lyrics.
The words that accompany the music. This is what you do.
Overlaid over CDG.
Well, you got your music bed.
Gotcha.
Right? But the lyrics that go on top of it, I'm going to give you the special secret magic, okay? So what
Give me the
you do,
secret sauce.
You flip through the dictionary and pick words at random until you got about 50 of them.
Yep.
You write them down on a piece of paper, each word individually, you throw it in a hat, and you just randomly pick them out and you arrange them.
On the internet, you can actually have generators that do that. There was a Nirvana song generator. There was a Metallica, Black Sabbath.
You got it.
Yeah.
But it's more fun to do it yourself. It makes you feel like you're actually accomplishing something and you're in the process.
Yeah. Phoenix, are you an artistic, lyrical person? Do you write lyrics?
Not so much. I typically don't get very far in the songs, maybe a single
Have you tried rapping?
No, I don't.
Are you writing a manifesto? Are you?
No.
Not yet.
Not yet.
So what I want to do with this interview is I want to kind of break down and kind of discuss some of the statements that he made.
There's a lot of statements.
There's a lot of statements. So the first statement, when we talk about evolution or life in general, he says there are too many questions about Jesus because there's too many questions about life.
That sounds like a deepity.
Yeah, pretty much.
What's a dippity?
It's just a phrase that it's meaningless, but it sounds deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it's very meaningful, but doesn't actually state anything.
I'll give you another one. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one can come to the Father except through me.
That's some supreme arrogance.
That's a dippity there, too.
No, it's just someone saying, hey, everyone else is wrong and I'm right.
Yep, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay, go to the next one. A person is not a person until they experience bouts of chaos, trauma, in regards to trials and tribulations that he experienced.
Yeah, it gives me the impression that he's saying that it's the trials that you go through that give you your identity.
Yeah, you should know. Do you know what the riddle of steel is?
Conan's
going back with Conan.
Conan, yeah. The riddle of steel, which is also an offshoot of that which does not kill you makes you stronger. He's talking about the hero's journey.
That's right.
And a lot of us really, relate to this. I won't be the person that I am if I hadn't gone through all this junk and all this crap and all this nonsense.
You weren't nailed to the tree of woe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fall in love with Valeria.
If you didn't
watch her get shot with a snake arrow.
If you didn't push that wheel until Conan pushes that wheel, and there's a lot of other kids when he starts, but there's no kids when he's done.
Right.
What happened to them kids, Derek?
Well, that's the riddle of steel.
They didn't have a strong enough will.
Correct.
Their will wasn't strong enough.
Really quick to define, the hero's journey. It's basically a narrative, or usually seen in mythology, on a hero's journey. It's like a very common template of broad characters of tales and lores that involve a hero going on an adventure, enduring crises, winning victories, and usually coming home changed and transformed.
Right.
And it's very romantic. That you were something smaller and less initially, and your outcome is something you're ascended or greater.
Let's put it into our modern context, which you might have heard of Luke Skywalker.
Star Wars, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
So going there.
There is a hero's journey. He didn't know what he was doing. He had to start off like a little scrub, and then he leveled up. You know.
That's one. Who's two?
But in the Star Wars universe?
No, another good one, Superman.
Oh, yeah. Well,
especially our modern, current interpretation of Superman. Very messianic, very Jesus-like. If you look at the Zack Snyder movies, the imagery of him ascending above, and people trying to touch his garment.
in the height of his power.
Yeah.
But when he was a kid, he was told not to use his gifts.
Right. and Superman did not disappear for 3 days during a festival, and his parents not know that he was gone.
Yeah.
And then the little shit show up at a church and say, well, "Wouldn't you know that I'd be in a
Well,
I don't know. That's honoring
with
your
my
father.
father's
Anyways,
I don't
moving
know.
on.
How long was he dead for Justice League?
I don't know. 6 months.
Superman being dead. I don't know what the time frame was, but
It was more than 3 days.
Oh, well.
Anyways, last one. The Matrix.
yeah, for sure.
Neo.
Even though
The one.
Rose develops.
Yeah,
as
he
goes
was the
through
one.
Trials. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, you see somebody who's less and endures these tribulations and trials and becomes something greater, more overcomes. The riddle of steel.
Yeah.
Riddle
You
of
have to
steel.
have the will to do that.
Yep.
And I got to tell you, Prim has will.
Yep. Well, I tell you what, though, Jesus is a little bit more easier than Crom. Crom's Crom's an
He's a
asshole.
jealous. He's a jealous God.
He will not only throw you out of Valhalla if
He'll
you
laugh
don't know.
at you.
He'll laugh at you while he's doing
And
it.
you can hear him laughing, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's the thunder.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Anyways, on Judgment Day,
Yes.
I will only be able to speak for myself.
Yeah, so basically all those trials and tribulations that you go through, it doesn't matter who's going through those with you. It's still going to be just you that gets judged
Yep.
at any one time.
You've got to be answering for yourself. You're ultimately responsible for your actions and what you do.
Yeah.
That's not a bad message. I can get behind that. I would think you
But
should
why would you have to wait for Judgment Day for that?
Well, here on Earth, we don't wait for Judgment Day. We don't have this theory of universal karma where just the universe or God is going to work everything out and everybody's going to get what they deserve. We have to take the law into our own hands. We have man's law, which is higher than God's law, in my opinion. So,
Well, even God says that law is in place because I put it there.
right. There is an overarching statement that says
Yeah.
you should respect the law of the land because I installed that.
Yeah,
for
therefore
you.
it's holy. Yep.
Yeah. And to disobey the law is ungodly.
Unless it violates your freedom of religion.
Well,
Or religious freedom, sorry.
there's also
I would like freedom of religion.
I prefer the freedom from religion, but that's...
I think you should be
have
free to
one, you have to
believe.
have the other.
You should be free to believe whatever stuff you want to believe,
Exactly.
and that's fine. But please, just please, don't try to legislate me with your religion. That's all. It's not fair at all.
Yeah. So, I mean, I could go into, different Bible verses that talk about Judgment Day, and it really not pertinent, in the context of this.
But what about personhood? I mean, I found that to be a very interesting question because
What do you mean?
Abortion,
Okay.
pro-abortion, abortionist rights, bodily autonomy, all of this stuff goes. Some people try to say, well, you're killing a person, and
Yeah, the biggest factor of that is at what point do you attribute personhood to?
right.
Well, he's saying it's trauma.
What if you have a C-section and you're, what if
Well,
you
so the way I've heard it described, and and again in a literary, maybe symbolic way, I can get on board with this. We're saying that birth, whether it be through the natural or through C-section or whatever, just the leaving of the womb is the most traumatic experience that you will ever experience in your entire life. It's so traumatic that it's been wiped from your mind. That's why you can't remember being born. I just think it's because your brain hasn't developed at that time. But anyways, that's regardless. But and I can get on board with that. I'm fine with that statement. Whether it defines actual personhood, I don't know. I honestly don't know. It's never been something that I've thought about it in much depth.
as a person who will never be pregnant, it kind of doesn't matter what I think about it.
Yeah, we actually touched quite a bit on the subject with the Marriage is Marriage episode of Vanguard.
Right.
But I just found
it kind of does because we talk about other people not legislating their beliefs onto you.
Yeah.
Well, aren't you technically going to legislate your lack of belief on somebody?
I would let people decide what they want to do.
Yeah.
Based on science, based on medicine, based on conversations with their doctors, they should have all options available for them to do whatever suits their needs.
Right. I think the more accurate statement that a lot of people take that really it's kind of like not fully understood is like people like me. I'm actually not for abortions. I don't support abortions.
I don't support abortions
What
either.
I do
I've never had
support,
one.
what I do support, is the ability of somebody to choose whether they want to have one or not. Because again, I will never be in a position where I need to abort something.
Me neither.
Except maybe a bad check, but
Wow.
I hope to never be in that position.
Yeah.
To have to make that decision.
but you would want to have the choice to make that decision.
People throughout the history of the world have decided whether they're going to do that or not by one means or another.
Yeah.
And even in the Bible, there's the trial of bitter waters.
Correct.
So that is definitely a guy deciding that he's not sure about the parentage, the paternity of the baby his wife is carrying, and he's going to go put his woman in front of the priest, and the priest is going to take the dirt from the tabernacle floor and mix it into some magical potion.
Yeah.
That's going
dirt that has been under an altar where blood sacrifices have been committed.
Yeah, this is not
to mention the
sterile.
animals coming through and
Yeah. Well, that water's bitter. It's not sweet water. They're not trying to tell you it's Kool-Aid or anything.
Or antifreeze.
Yeah. Well, it's
They didn't have that back then.
yeah. It's a whole thing, man. But yeah, it was the most interesting answer that I've ever heard regarding that subject.
Yep. Phoenix, I have a question for you.
yes.
I think you'll probably be a good one to answer this. The spiritual world is a reflection of the real world. This is not something new. This is something I've seen in science fiction, fantasy, the mirror world. Tell me about that. How did you get from the mirror? How did you get from the other side?
But don't you know everything's backwards there?
Yeah.
The upside down.
No, actually, the closest thing that
Red round.
the closest thing in my experience to that would be the ethereal plane of existence from the New Age metaphysical realm. That's basically where everything doesn't have any substance, but it still has the forms of everything that's here.
So it's just visible?
Yeah.
It's still it's not concrete and physical, but it still takes the shape of.
It reminds me of a horror movie I recently saw called Insidious, where she goes over to the other.
That was actually a relatively accurate representation of it. But the exception being that everything was dark.
Yeah.
The further away from the real world you get,
Yeah.
Whereas the pathway that I actually followed defined it as gray instead of black. It's just grayed out into.
Now, when you
nothingness.
believed in this stuff, did you, in this movie they were astral projecting, and their disembodied form would get trapped in this place? Is that something? Is that just pure storytelling, or is that something based on anything?
No. That's actually something that people that do that actually concern themselves with.
So how do they prevent that? What's the safeguards
Usually,
in that community?
By not 100% projecting, leaving a piece of yourself within your body.
Just the tip? Can you-
Wow.
Like, how do you not all the way go in? Like,
It's naughty.
It's basically like keeping a tether to yourself.
is it a physical tether, a metaphysical?
Like an umbilical?
Much like an umbilical.
Yeah, I know words.
Do you have a
That
fan?
is one way of doing it. Another is
Simplificating
just
it.
simply that you're not actually required to be in only one place at one time. And you can partially exist in your body and then mostly exist wherever it is you're projecting to.
Now, he said that he was actually living in the reflection, and that there was his reflection of what was in heaven. Does that make any sense? Because I thought that we were living in the real world, and this spiritual side was actually the reflective world.
Yeah, there's various explanations for that.
Or does it even matter? One side is one side, and you exist on one side, and the other side is just always going to be the opposite side.
Well, as far as I know, and not to cut Phoenix off too much, as far as I know, you're either going to be here or you're not going to be here.
Unless you leave a part behind.
Well, yeah, you got to die to get over the other side. But please tell us more about this alternative metaphysical stuff.
It's very like through the looking glass.
No, there actually is one within the Judaistic mythos. That's the Kabbalistic tree of life, the pathway from which the divine manifests as physical and can be traced back for the physical to reunite with the divine. The Kabbalistic tree of life, the Sephiroth on the tree of life and the pathways. In fact, tarot cards are heavily modeled after it.
Yep. Are you aware of Plato's theory of forms?
I have looked it up. I really don't like that one too much because it seems to go backwards. I mean, it goes, take for example, it's basically saying that things are an imperfect reflection of a real thing that doesn't actually have a physical form.
A perfect thing.
It has a form, but anything that's physical is just basically a copy of it, an imperfect copy. So you look on Wikipedia, one of the examples they give is the sky is blue, blue jeans are blue, but they're not, they're different shades of blue, so they're not the real blue. There is such a thing as blue that is real and concrete that's of this form. And I think that's what we call blue is an extrapolation of the things that we see. The theory of forms presented by Plato is the exact opposite, that the things we see are extrapolated from the form of blue instead. And I don't agree with that. I think that we're getting the concept of blue from the things that we see, not the other way around.
I think the theory was that there is a perfect tree. And every tree on earth is modeled after that, but it's not going to be perfect because it's in this physical realm. So it's just a form as a template.
Kind of like when you think like movies with clones, you have your template and everything starts to degrade afterwards.
Now, with the metaphysical stuff, we were talking about the ethereal modeling after physical reality. There's also the astral. Honestly, those two get swapped around quite often, so you're going to be using one or the other depending on which community you're with, because they will interchange them or getting confused with each other. So you actually have to work with them to figure out which one you're using in which particular group. But one is modeled after physical reality. The other one is filled with thought forms. It's created by your thoughts.
So you're thinking about something makes it so somewhere.
It manifests in a different astral plane. And honestly, that's why I was agnostic about all the deities, because I couldn't differentiate between a thought form version of the deity versus the actual deity itself.
I'm gonna take a left turn a little bit here. That's kind of what I feel about karma. That I don't really think karma is real. I don't, but I think that if you have positivity that you manifest in your life, and you're looking for positivity, and you're thinking positive and doing positive things, that's going to lead to a more positive life and well-being for you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Calvinism.
Yeah, who is that Calvin?
Yeah, who is that? What is that? What that be?
Calvinism.
Despite the fact that he doesn't agree with Calvinism.
Calvin the Reformer?
Apparently, it was around long before him. It's actually sprouted up in multiple places. It's just that his name was the one that got attributed to it for the title. Honestly, there was just too much for me to really look into. The best summary of it was the acronym TULIP, which apparently is something many apologists actually kind of hesitate to use, because it's probably too summary and doesn't actually address all the points they would like to have addressed.
What is TULIP?
Total depravity, unconditional election, limited atonement, irresistible grace, and perseverance of the saints.
So he attributed Calvinism to this predestination, that you were created to either be created to receive glory and forgiveness and blah, 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 or to be condemned to hell. Is that?
Yeah, the predestination thing is part of Calvinism.
Okay.
And we're not going to do a whole thing on free will.
No.
But
yeah.
That's
a whole
how
can
much
of
free
worms.
will can you have if you're predestined?
But he says something interesting where he says that, the devil was created to be thrown into hell.
Predestined.
But he wasn't.
Predestined.
Predestined, yeah.
But he doesn't believe in predestiny.
No.
So
Yeah, so
Interesting.
yeah, that's very interesting. He knows a lot. He can speak on a lot, but
Right.
some of it I'm not following everything he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not real well practiced on communicating his thoughts.
I think he is, but he's not skilled. Well, I don't want to agree with you, but I think he is skilled at telling this story or these type of things to other people who believe something similar, and he's not challenged. You know, where he doesn't have to explain. You know, when he talks about goes off on these weird tangents, and and somebody's like, "What? Well,
no, well, just like you have a science communicator who can talk to the average person. That's the kind of
Correct.
communication I'm talking about. You can talk amongst the people that already, know it.
Yeah.
Or,
I think he's good at not communicating, to like people like me and
But
you.
a communicator
Yeah.
is somebody who can actually tell it to the layperson who's never
Right.
heard it before and actually in a comprehensible
yeah.
manner.
And you asked a very interesting question, and I'd probably be interesting to ask this to more people with different backgrounds. But where exactly is the devil?
Yeah. Where is the devil?
Where is he? What's he
where
up
is
to?
What's he doing? What's his address?
Yeah.
Can I send him an email?
What's his motivation?
Yeah. What's he busy with?
Yeah.
Not going
Why
there.
does he? What is he? Why does he do what he do?
Well, he was predestined, Derek.
Yeah.
Or was he?
Well, according to the Book of Job, he's in the air, winds in the air. He's everywhere.
Right. But
I've spoken to real evangelical people a lot, and they think that they are surrounded by demons all the time.
and they don't want to get in an airplane because it's a tube of demons.
A tube of demons.
Yeah.
What was that?
Tube-
that
that's the
that's-
prosperity preacher.
That's why you need a private jet.
I
Yeah.
can't
Oh,
remember his name.
I'm with him. I need a jet because I'm not gonna sit coach next to some demon. I think they smell like sulfur. That's nasty. I don't want to be on an airplane and they don't even give you peanuts anymore next to this sulfur smelling demon. No, I
that doesn't
want
sound
a
good.
jet now.
Doesn't sound good.
I'm gonna pray on that.
Yeah, you pray
or
on that.
meditate.
Well, one of the funny things is an offshoot
Blasphemy
here. I
101.
can't remember his name, the preacher we're talking about right
Yeah.
now. But I do remember that I saw the interview where all that stuff was discussed about the demons on the planes.
The tube of demons.
Yep.
Tube of demons.
But
I'm gonna have to pray on
my
that.
favorite thing, though,
I'm gonna pray on
is
that.
somebody actually went and took some snapshots from that interview and recolored him as the Joker.
Whoa.
and the scary thing is that he looks very much like the Joker, the older versions, the more comical versions of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's a guy who's doing something that all the snake oil salesmen do. He says, "Give me your money and I'm going to help you."
Yeah.
That's it. It's a simple message. Now, your reward is not going to be until you die.
Right.
But trust me,
It's coming.
just your earthly money is what I need right now.
Yeah. Why does God need $1?
Why does God need a spaceship?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So
Why does God need you?
I would say all you believers out there, you should seriously question anyone who's asking you for money, ask them where it goes. Ask them to show you where it goes. The churches are not, they are not forced to open their books like any other reputable business. So you really don't know, for the most part, where that money is going, who it's going to. Is it going to pay off these mistresses to have abortions? Is it going to pay off claims in the courts against molestation that the preachers are doing? You know,
Or is it to buy a tube of angels?
yeah. Is it?
Yeah.
Right.
So the whole concept that they pitch is you don't really need all this money, this material wealth, because your reward is coming to you in the next world, the
That's
next
the most
life.
important.
But I
great
need this
scam.
money right now so that I can bring more people to that reward. And never mind the fact that I'm using it to get the 3 elevators in my mansion
Right.
and the private jet
And your
and
reward
the
is
limo.
not due. And you never have to prove that this award is there until you die.
Right. You have
Yep.
to have faith. You just have to have faith, Derek.
George Michael.
And if that's not good enough, you have to have faith in faith. but we're not going to sing on this show because, YouTube's cracking down on demonetization and our little
And the
songs.
commenters are telling me not to do it anymore, even though I do have a beautiful singing voice. Yeah. Alrighty. Is there anything else before we close this this half
Show of
hour of blasphemy?
I'd just like to say Prim was a really cool guy, although I of course, don't believe all the stuff that he believes. It was really interesting. It was interesting to talk to him.
Yeah.
And I hope I run into him again.
I think
He seemed like quite the character.
Yeah, he's quite the character.
Alrighty. So
Before we close it
before
up,
we go, I want to read a couple of comments that we've gotten. One of our frequent flyers, Chris Massey, wrote in "Convert or Die."
An
Jesus,
older-
that's
an
Jesus
older
love
episode.
for you. That's Jesus love. Convert
this
or
is
die.
an older episode
Convert
where
or die.
yeah.
Take, quote unquote, the real person challenge. Name the first person mentioned in the Bible. If you can't do that, then consider yourself to be biblically ignorant and call yourself an atheist for no good reason.
Now, first person mentioned, first real person mentioned. Which?
Does it matter?
Yep.
This is not my game. I don't know the
God
rules.
or Adam, if you're going for just people that
A real
mentioned.
person.
Real
A real
person
person.
mentioned.
Well, Caesar,
Pharaoh?
Pontius Pilate, I believe that
We had a pharaoh.
there was the Caesar.
What do you mean, real person? Like person born of a womb?
I don't know.
I'm thinking just historical.
A real person. Well, you know what? I guess I took the challenge, Chris, and I am biblically ignorant.
I mean-
and an atheist.
My question is, why does it matter? If all you can grasp at is who was the first person, like that really tells me nothing. It really doesn't inspire me. It doesn't make me say, you know what? There's something to that Bible that I need to research. I need to get in there. It seems like there's something more to it than that. I need to just get baptized and follow in the Word. Like that is not.
I think it's more
that's
of
not helping me.
I think it's more of a challenge to say, no, I don't think you ever even opened up the Bible at all. So go ahead and give
So
me a
what?
name.
So what if I haven't ever opened up the Bible at all?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a great commission that tells people they should go forth, spread the word, baptize everyone in every nation and everything. And, that's not really putting me on the path. I would love to see some evidence. I would love to say, hey, you saw all those miracles? Hey, that was because of my boy Jesus. He's the best. And, because of Jesus, I have faith. It could only be the size of a grain of a mustard seed, but I have it and I've moved mountains.
Yeah.
Like, give me something tangible that I can check out.
Yeah.
Not this Bible quiz stuff.
Yeah. I have one more comment. This one, I normally will read comments that are still posted, but this one was deleted for a reason. But I remember it from memory. The comment was, "Theism is winning. Suck it, atheists."
Yeah.
Theism is winning.
So what is the goal of theism?
How are we winning?
How's that work out?
Yeah, how's that measured? Goal points, baskets, home runs,
Jets?
souls.
How many jets do
Jets?
prosperity preachers have? Is that how they're counting it up?
Yeah, if you're going for a population that actually believes, the degree of those that identify as religious nuns is going up about 1% every year.
Yeah. Now, I would consider myself, despite taking the real person challenge, I consider myself somewhat biblically educated. And wouldn't they want us theism to be kind of losing because that is one of the criterias for Christ to return?
Yeah, the whole martyrdom.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be like the days of Noah again, and all sorts of, the frogs flying from the sky, cats and dogs living together in harmony, all sorts, the gays and lesbians, pushing their agenda on you. It's supposed to be all this shit going down, and then that's when the sky will open up and Jesus will show up with this white horse and this sword and lay waste to everybody what they're hoping for. Doesn't all that have to happen before Jesus comes back? Why you be like praise, be in great joy that those guys are winning because that means Jesus is coming back. I guess you should be rooting for us.
Yeah, except keep in mind the whole Antichrist thing, basically anything, if they do so many good things, and that's why they get the worship. They do all these great, wonderful things, but if you're actually believing that that's actually part of the sign of the end times, oh my gosh, all these good things are happening. That's horrible because it means all this stuff is going to happen afterwards.
Yeah.
And it just...
There are high tides, low tides, good times, bad
Deep mountains.
times.
And then those that are fundamentalist about their beliefs with that will actually try to stop the good things from happening because they're afraid that it's going to bring about the end times.
We've got to get a handle on reason and common sense.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we all have to live in this world together, and I would hope that we could find a way to say, you know what, this is good. It's good not just for me, not just for me and the people who believe what I believe. It's good for everyone, and it's good for the world, and it's good for positivity, well-being throughout, equality throughout. And that's really what we should be looking at, and not just saying, well, this is good for my religion, so I'm gonna do these things to perhaps fulfill a prophecy of the end times.
Awesome. All right. Anything else?
I don't have anything else.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, thank you once again for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. And remember, a blasphemy a day keeps the indoctrination away.
Leave your comments below.
Leave our comments below. Take care. Bye-bye. Have a good one.